The Zero Boys are a group of fun-loving survivalists whose latest weekend foray into the wilderness may be their last. You see, this survivalist exercise quickly turns into a real life or death situation that not all of them will make it out of alive. Nico Mastorakis. We meet again. The last film of Mr. Mastorakis I reviewed was The Wind, an atmospheric and suspenseful little thriller with plenty of twists and turns. I loved every second of it, so when The Zero Boys was requested by Movie Club member Nico over on my Patreon, all he had to say was, "It's a Mastorakis joint." The Zero Boys opens with what at first appears to be a Wild West shootout between Rambo-like mercenaries and members of the SS. It's all an elaborate ruse by Mastorakis, though, a game of paintball warfare that serves not only to introduce us to the boys and their girls, but inform the viewer that what you're about to see ain't gonna be your standard slasher. I think what Mastorakis wanted to do here is present the audience with what appears to be your standard slasher movie setup. A group of young people journey off into the woods and, one by one, meet their demise at the hands of a knife-wielding maniac. Only in the case of the Zero Boys, these young people definitely aren't babes in the woods. They're trained and armed survivalists. Keep in mind, this was 1986, and at this point, the slasher subgenre was running on fumes. The Zero Boys could be looked at as Mastorakis either spoofing the subgenre or turning it on its head. In this way, the movie is kind of ahead of its time. You could even say that Mastorakis foretold the eventual rise in torture porn as an answer to the slasher subgenre's decline. If you like seeing people stabbed and slashed with all manner of edged implements, surely you'll enjoy watching their prolonged torture until they are eventually stabbed or slashed with edged implements just as much, if not more. That may be a stretch, but seeing as the maniacs in the Zero Boys like to torture their victims and record their victims being tortured, you could make that argument. On the downside, anybody going into the Zero Boys expecting just another backwoods slasher are going to be highly underwhelmed. The Zero Boys is definitely not a body count movie, and none of the characters are your token slasher movie cannon fodder. For the most part, all the characters here are likable and fairly well written. They don't all make dumb decisions that find them at the mercy of the killer. The emphasis here is placed squarely on the Zero Boys and their girlfriends, not the killer or killers. You get the sense that Steve, the group's de facto leader, feels in over his head and uncertain of himself. I mean, finding yourself in a life or death situation and having everyone turn to you for guidance would be a little overwhelming, I'm sure. Instead of splitting up and looking around, they stick together and work as a unit. Because of this, the killers aren't very menacing and never seem like very much of a threat. A couple of interesting things to note about the Zero Boys is that the film was shot on the same location as Friday the 13th Part 3. Both the Higgins Haven house and the barn are used in the film. And before you shout, is that Martin Sheen as a machete-wielding maniac? No, it's actually his brother, Joe Estevez. Mastorakis and cinematographer Stephen Shaw lay in the atmosphere thick with plenty of rain and fog and wind. The Zero Boys is also a beautifully photographed film with lots of creative shots and camera moves. Steve Hirsch and Kelly Maroney lead a solid cast, all of whom deliver fine performances. The Zero Boys is definitely not your run-of-the-mill backwoods slasher movie. Some will dig that, some won't. Personally, I had a blast with the Zero Boys, and I highly recommend it. As for this Blu-ray from Arrow Video, this release features a brand new 4K restoration of the film approved by writer and director Nico Mastorakis. I thought the overall picture quality was fantastic, although there are some moments in the film that appear very grainy, and the colors just look kinda flat. Still, I'd give the picture quality here a solid 4 out of 5. Same thing for the audio quality. I thought the Zero Boys both looked and sounded great on this release from Arrow Video. As far as extras are concerned, first up we get Nico Mastorakis on Nico Mastorakis. It's 27 minutes and 48 seconds in length, in which the Zero Boys director has a conversation with himself. Mr. Mastorakis discusses how delighted he is to see the Zero Boys receive a Blu-ray release and how he is currently doing 4K restorations of all of his films. He discusses how quickly The Zero Boys was made, casting Kelly Maroney, and how delightful she was to work with. He discusses working with a young Frank Darabont on The Zero Boys as an assistant art director, and a young Hans Zimmer who co-composed the score. Mr. Mastorakis also discusses not wanting to make the film graphic in terms of its violence, and much more. Next we have Zero Girl, an interview with Kelly Maroney. It's 8 minutes and 20 seconds in length. Ms. Maroney discusses meeting Nico Mastorakis and working with him, mistaking Joe Estevez for Martin Sheen, how happy she is that the Zero Boys has such a fan following, and more. Next, we have Blame It on Rio, an interview with star Nicole Rio. It's 8 minutes and 30 seconds in length. Ms. Rio discusses working with Nico Mastorakis and what a big personality and passion for film he had. She discusses the scene in which a rattlesnake slithers across her lap and how stressful that was. She discusses how great Joe Estevez was, being contacted by fans from all over the world, and more. We get 2 music videos, the theatrical trailer, a still gallery, and an audio commentary with Kelly Maroney and Chris Alexander. Overall, this is a fantastic release for the Zero Boys from the folks over at Arrow Video. Both the picture quality and the sound quality are solid, and we get some nice extras to boot. If you're a fan of the Zero Boys, this release is a no-brainer. If you'd like to request a movie for me to review, head over to my Patreon and join the movie club today. That link is in the description. Let me know your thoughts on the Zero Boys down in the comments section below. And while you're down there, let me know what your favorite Nico Mastorakis film is, too. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up and share it on social media. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace. A huge shout out to all my patrons and channel members. I greatly appreciate your generosity and support of my channel. Become a patron today and get early access to videos, have a say in what movies I review, and join me for patron-only live streams. Become a channel member today and get access to exclusive badges and emotes to use when I stream. Those links are in the description. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.